everybody. Welcome to a Wednesday edition. The show's called Box Seats. I'm your host, Frank Holder. What we do in this show is where we have a conversation with comedians about sports. Always usually the hottest topics is going on in today's sports world and everything else. Now, if you guys are not familiar with the comics, I'm going to get ready to bring you in, but these comics have been in the comedy game for a very long time. Like I say, every day. They've been in comedy for decades. They've been in comedy films. They've even been in film festivals. They've toured the world, even on army bases, comedy commercials, everything pertaining to comedy. Up first is my man, Talent, who's about to celebrate 30 years in comedy. Just see, decades, I told you. Talent, my man.
Absolutely. 30 strong, man. Feel like 3 years.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you. I still remember when you got on Def Comedy Jam, bro. It seemed like that was yesterday, but that was 30 years ago. Like
30 years. Can you believe it, B?
Nah, I can't even imagine that. Up next is my man, Fig. Fig, how you doing today, brother? How's everything?
Man, I'm doing good. I see Talent got up early this morning and called housekeeping.
Whole nother room.
That's how you do it, boy. You be balling out. Talent, before we jump into the show, man, tell everybody about that 30-year celebration that you got coming up, man, at Atlantic City.
Well, you see, I'm toasting already because the countdown begins July 30th weekend. The last weekend of 30. We're doing a 30 for 30. 30 years in comedy. It's July 30th weekend. 3 days of events celebrating, man. And everybody along the way will be in the building from Frank and Humor Mill, Mag and TV, all the way to my cousin Ed Lover, to Mr. Cheeks and Roxanne Shante, to John Hinton and AJ Johnson, to Fig Man from the Box Seats, to Rodney Perry, Amir, Silly. We're all going to be there celebrating this monumental moment for a brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we can't wait. You know, we're gonna go out there and celebrate. Now let's get ready to jump into the show. Before I even get into the show, if y'all want, the ticket information, everything else, go to Talent's page. I'm sure he's got all the information up there, how you get it, and Atlantic City and everything else. We all gonna be there. We're gonna be having a good time. We're gonna be promoting it heavily because we all got to go out and show how we do, how we get down.
Yes,
now.
Sir.
Let's get ready to jump into the show. Where I always kick off the show with the COVID report. I know you guys, everybody at home has seen this news by now. So instead of me talking about the COVID report that's happening in the Olympics, because it doesn't even look any better, it looked like we have now a COVID report news because Chris Paul is now on an NBA protocol for COVID, and it looks like he's out indefinitely. Now, I'm going to start out with the news with this COVID report and throw it to you, Talent, and say, this brother just can't catch a break. Every single year he's in the playoffs with a good team. He seems to get either it's an injury to him or another pertinent player and get, somehow along he gets deranged from making his run to the actual title. And he's always with good teams when he does this. 2 years ago, he was with Houston. I thought Houston was going to run through everybody, but it seems like he always has these problems. But we're talking about COVID report. We're talking about Chris Paul. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think the good thing about it, you're right. He can't catch a break, seemingly. But I think the good news with this one is I think it's good news that it's COVID protocol as opposed to a real injury. Because looking at the other series of who they would play, good thing they swept the team they played. So now that the team right here that's taking time, if this thing goes 7 games and take all that time up, I'm sure he'll be back for the big series. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that point 100% because it definitely doesn't mean never. So, Fig, what's your thought?
Yeah, man, indefinitely is ambiguous at best, man. You don't know what indefinitely means. It can mean 1 day, 2 days, 2 weeks, whatever. But the thing is that I think they were saying earlier that Chris Paul has possibly gotten his vaccine, which makes the COVID protocol shorter. So, like Talent said, if this series between I think the Clippers and who is it, Denver?
Yeah, no,
the Nuggets. The Nuggets, no, not the Nuggets.
Hold on, before you say
Utah. If between LA and Utah, that if it goes 7 games, he might be back for game 1 and probably no later than game 2.
You just did the Frank Holder. You just did the who the hell we playing over there? It's a series with the.
No, it proves to you that it doesn't happen to just Celtics fans, happens to Knicks fans too. And the Knicks fans ain't won nothing.
Hey, Frank, with you is because you're a Celtics fan. With me, I just had a senior moment.
See what I'm saying? I'm trying to get that off me, Fig. You throwing it back on me, man. That's not cool. That's not cool. right, well, let me continue on with the show like we normally do, man. Something happened yesterday too, man, that I saw. I didn't see it on ESPN this morning, and it's gonna blow you guys' minds. A former New England Patriot player, one of my favorite players to ever play New England Patriots, right? He got robbed of $300,000 worth of jewelry, 300 grand, and the person who robbed him was his son. I don't know if you saw this story or not. His son got arrested, charges brought up against him and everything else. He got caught red-handed with several of his own dad's Super Bowl rings and everything else. It's a real sad story. I don't know what the relationship is, father and son, but his son stole from his dad and got arrested for it. And when I was reading the story, he didn't even have bailed him out yet. So what's your thoughts when you hear about that part, Talent?
This remind me of, I don't know if you watched it in the news the same week, the baby or one of them, their father is rapping and dissing the son. What the hell's wrong with these families? What happened in the good old days? Go, hey, Dad, you got $5? Who the hell is robbing their father, man? Like, you know what? When I get off this show, I'm going to call my daughter and thank her for calling me and say, hey, Dad, I need blah, blah, blah. Can you do it? I mean, rather than coming in the house like you love me and robbing me. Damn.
Right.
I just think this is crazy story right here, man. And what do you do if you're the dad? The bigger question is, what do I do now? Now that the law stepped in, the arrest is made, because you know what happens with these cases, Frank and Fig. A lot of time, if they want to make an example out of you, they say the hell with you dropping the case or dropping the charges. The state or city picks it up and goes to execute, to the full extent of the law.
Right. That's exactly what's going to happen. Fig, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, man, it's absolutely crazy. But what you did hear is, on TMZ or one of them shows, man, the son was like, you robbed my mother of the best years of her life, so I'm taking your jewelry.
Wow. Wow.
I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy, man, when you rob your own family, man, or burglarize or whatever you call it, your own family, man. Clearly, this kid has some issues, man, with his father, man. He is clearly angry with his father and acting out for some reason that we have no idea about, man. Real crazy. But it's been said that, sometimes parents go around and get a lot of stuff and be flossing while your kids is wearing irregular and sneakers from the barrel in the middle of the grocery store. He was like, I ain't taking it.
Yeah, but Vince didn't do that to his family and everything else.
I didn't mean him specifically, but
he didn't do that. And his other first part I forgot to add too. Let me add this part because I forgot to add this part. Not only did he steal his father's Super Bowl rings, he sold them online to a sports dealer. And his sports dealer is the one who reported, and that's how he got caught.
Wow.
So let me bring in Rodney Perry in here because Rodney Perry's on this show. Rodney Perry, what's up, man? How you doing, brother? All right, let me fill you in on the story. Vince Wilfork, former New England Patriot great and everything else, had his jewelry stolen from his son. He got arrested by the police. I forgot to mention earlier, what I just mentioned now. He got caught because he resold, after he stole the jewelry, 300 grand worth of jewelry, he sold the Super Bowl rings to a sports dealer and everything else, and that's how he got caught. He stole 2 of his dad's Super Bowl rings and everything else. So when you hear that your son is stealing from his dad, what's your thoughts, Rodney Perry?
I'm sure they got some issues that goes beyond the jury, and I think narcotics. I think that crack cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I didn't even think of it as a drug situation. I didn't even look at it like that. Like that's probably what it is. It probably is drugs, and he's probably trying to. I mean, it could be anything. We could speculate. We could spend an hour sitting up here right now speculating on what happened.
Yeah, without knowing about it for real. You kind of don't know. I mean, he could be estranged from his father. It could be drugs. It could be both. It could be. He need the money, and he's just sitting there. Why shouldn't I use it? People's children feel entitled sometimes.
Right. Our next news up story item is before we jump heavily into the NBA games and what happened last night, man. The NBA released some statements this morning saying several coaches got fired. One is Stan Van Gundy. He got fired from New Orleans Pelicans after one season, and the Wizards coach Scott Brooks got fired. Now, here's what I'm going to say to you, Talent. That is one thing that you might not realize. 4 out of the 7 playoff coaches were black. Just saying. I just want to throw that out there. 4 of the 7 remaining NBA teams that they got black coaches out there. So I wanted to throw that stat out there to you, Talon. But when you hear the NBA, some of these teams are firing their coaches because the time is short now. You know what I mean? What's going to happen?
The only good news in that story, Frank, is that finally Scott Brooks is out of it.
Right.
Who the hell is hiring Scott Brooks? I mean, that's a close balance. So I wouldn't even let the color thing sway me to any sort of inside opinion, because 4 and 3, you're damn near splitting down the middle. But the good news is there's a job openings. We was having a conversation about how everybody's hiring right now. You know what I mean? And everybody's trying to hire and get people in there. Now, all those coaches we talked about in previous episodes got somewhere to go. Now they can get picked up and have a job at these places.
Exactly. Fig, almost 50% of the NBA coaches who are in the playoffs are African-American, and 2 white coaches got fired in the last 3 hours. Your thoughts?
Well, look, man, with just think of the teams and their records, and that'll tell you why they got fired. I mean, we talking about Scott Brooks.
Yeah.
You talking about the Wizards. I'm like, man, these teams were horrible, and their players wasn't that bad. I mean, think about it. The Wizards had Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook. I mean, you kind of think that they're gonna win a couple of games, at least enough to make the 8th seed or something in the East. I mean, it's the East, for God's sakes. There's enough room to make it into the 8th seed in the East, man. If you can't win with those guys, and Stan Van Gundy in New Orleans, man, they were saying earlier in the year that they were playing so bad they felt like Stan Van Gundy had lost the team. So you kind of sort of writing on the wall. The fact that it happened is not a big surprise.
Rodney Perry, your thoughts?
I mean, it's a great point you make on black coaches in the playoffs, but there's still only a few black coaches in the league, and apparently they're doing a good job. They're relating to these players. They're relating to these young guys. They're relating to the older guys. And how about this? The players are saying who they want to work with and for. Cats like LeBron, cats like Chris Paul. These guys are making some choices. And I know we talk about all the time about the league, about how they're choosing where they want to play. They're also choosing who they want to play for. Big ups to these new teams, these new NBA players.
All right, let's not overlook the statement that Rodney Perry said. Rodney Perry just said there's only a handful of African-American coaches in the league. And of the handful, there's 50% of those guys is playing in the playoffs right now. Right. So we don't want to overlook that fact.
You know what? Let me just mention this when you said black coaches, Frank. Let's give a big shout out to Nate McMillan, who came in to the season halfway through and turned the Atlanta team around, turned the Atlanta Hawks completely around, turned it from a losing season to a winning season, and right now they're in the second round of the playoffs. Hats off to Nate McMillan for being
let me say this, Vic. If you ever got to give me a shout out, have mine ready.
Yeah, exactly. Figure out what you're trying to say.
Sorry, man.
I was going to shout out Nate McMillan too for putting hands on the New York Knicks.
Yeah.
This guy, right?
All right, Rodney.
Let's get this show started, man. I want to keep the thing going. Now, another big news that happened this morning is I saw the game where Kawhi and Leonard got injured. I didn't think the injury was as serious as it is, but this morning they announced the news that Kawhi Leonard is going to possibly be out for the rest of the series. He's definitely going to miss Game 5. Now, a lot of people right now are tight about that, and I'm sure a lot of people in L.A., the entire land of LA is upset because if the Lakers ain't going to be in the playoffs, at least the Clippers are going to be in the playoffs, but it doesn't even look like that might happen much longer. I don't know. That's why they got to play the games. But, Talent, what's your thoughts on Kawhi and Leonard getting injured right before Game 5?
Well, I watched the game. I seen the plant where he got the discomfort and everything, and that's pretty much why he got out of the game with about 6 minutes left. These things happen, man. I've been saying it all season. All we got to do is watch and play and let the injuries play their part. The injuries, the real six man. People always call the crowd the six man. No, injuries are the six man. Injuries are king substitute. So with him out, I don't want to say it's over, I would like to say that when you have other star players, this is their moment to shine. This is the moment to get the monkey off the back. And we know there's a big ass gorilla on Paul George's back, and he's going to have to show up and show out and just to sustain for this season because the other team's not playing. This is not no easy Vic.
I will say for the record that, they're going to lose, but we'll see. That's why they play the game. I don't see Paul George putting that thing and carrying them over the cross. I just don't see it. But Vic, what you think? Maybe I'm wrong. What you think, Vic?
Man, listen, let me tell you something. The funny thing is Talon started out with a monkey, then he mentioned Paul George, and the monkey turned into a gorilla.
Yeah. That's a hell of a monkey.
I'm like, what? What kind of evolution was that? I'm like, yo, man, listen. I mean, Paul George has had his moments where, things didn't go well for him. But let's not forget, man, this dude at one point was he was at superstar status. He's not an old dude. He's played very well. As a matter of fact, in the very last game that they played, him and Kawhi had very similar stat lines. They both scored 31 points, had a few assists, rebounds, and stuff like that. Paul George had not played bad. I don't think it's really on Paul George. I mean, I think he's been doing his thing all along. I think it's up to the others to fill in the gap. Paul George, I believe he's going to do his thing. If Paul George scores, 30 points, you know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, he's done his job, and it's up to the others to go along, for the ride. The NBA players, they get paid for a reason, and let's see if they go along for the ride.
Okay, well, since you said I was a great star when I used to play ball too. You know what I mean? I was.
No, I'm talking about last game.
Huh?
Last game, he dropped 31 in the win. Why are we acting like he's a scrub?
He dropped 31 in the win, but for the series, he's playing horribly. Let's be honest. In the playoffs, he's not playing good at all. But hey, I mean, to each his own. Rodney Perry, what you think?
Well, Paul George is not playing horrible, but he's definitely got to do more. Where he could hit 30 and have a cool stat line, he's gonna need 40 by himself. So I agree with Talent, man. I'm not big on saying it's over, but I mean it's just like the Nets. I mean, you gotta be real scrappy to win now in this league, and it goes back to what I said yesterday not yesterday, but the last time I was on, that these injuries. It's this season. This shortened season is beginning to affect everybody, not just LeBron James, everybody. We're seeing players go down every single game on real weird injuries. And, guy put his foot down. He go, oh, shit, that's it. I'm done for the season. So you we can't even see it happen. So this shortened season is seeming to take a toll on these guys.
Yeah, doesn't that bring into what I was saying like the last 2 or 3 days? We've been talking about literally the injuries in the shortened season, and now Kawhi Leonard comes up. And James Harden just came back. I mean, I don't know what you guys are thinking. I know Fig doesn't agree with us, and maybe we might have changed his mind, but the injuries are taking its toll because of the shortened season. That's what I think. And I think now the bug has now hit, the Clippers badly.
No, I agree with you guys. I just can't remember a year where when none of the players weren't injured. I'm trying to think. Every year they get injured.
No, every year somebody gets injured, but not every year does almost every single star player on every single team during the playoffs gets injured. I can't remember an NBA season where it's so
like Chris Paul is going to be out for the season. Paul.
Yeah, see Chris Paul. I mean, you can just go through the teams that all made the playoffs. They all have major injuries.
There's a major difference between COVID and injuries, guys.
Well, I didn't even mention COVID. I said injuries.
Well, Chris Paul not injured?
Chris Paul had a shoulder injury in the first couple of games of the first season. Of the
playoffs. Yeah.
He had a. I ain't talking about Chris Paul now has a COVID issue. Because Chris Paul is a whole nother different situation. But let me ask you this, Talent. Let me keep the show moving on because we talk about the NBA. I don't know if you guys saw this, but the NBA announced their, the All NBA team. Now, I had a huge problem when I saw the All NBA team because let's be honest, my man Jason Tatum wasn't on it, and my man Donovan Mitchell wasn't on it, and since neither one of them were on it, Talent, they both had to sacrifice $33 million that they were going to get if they had made either first team, second team, or third team. Now I'm gonna throw it to you, Talent. And I'm gonna just say this: the people who pick the first, second, and third team of all NBA teams are all journalists. Jason Tatum didn't make it. Donovan Mitchell didn't make it. What's your thoughts on this? And it cost them $33 million.
Damn. Journalists. Couldn't find out they journalists of stuff that has nothing to do with basketball. They're in the Alps. They're taking pictures of the mountains and the lions and the snow caps. Are they watching the game? How do those two, just those two alone that you mentioned, how do they not make that first team? I don't get it. They've been carrying their franchise, and you get to the end of the season and go, yeah, here's the first team, and leave those two out. Now, mind you, both made the playoffs, you know what I mean, with their teams. One's still playing in the playoffs. Looks like, definitely with the injury now that he's going to go to the conference final. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm baffled by this one.
Before I throw it to Fig, I'm going to just say this for the record. I don't know how they make the first, second, or third team if you've been out a lot of games. I have a real problem with that. And some of these guys been out a lot of games, and they still make the first, second, and third team. But Fig, what's your thoughts?
Hey man, unfortunately, we don't get a vote. None of us on here get a vote who makes first, second, third team All NBA. I looked at the list. I was surprised to see Steph Curry on there because his team didn't make the playoffs. Jason Tatum, he played hands down this year. Boston did make it to the playoffs. We just said Donovan Mitchell, the Spider. He had reached superstar status, balling out. I don't know what the criteria is. I don't know what. Maybe these guys have a personal vendetta. When you bring in $33 million, Frank, maybe these guys are friends with the owner, and the owner asked them to keep it off so they can save some money. Man, it is mind-boggling to me. I have no idea why those particular guys that you mentioned did not make first, second, or third team.
Yeah, and let me say this. I know you guys are Knicks fans, but I'm going to ask Rodney Perry this. If you have Julius Randle on one side and you have Jason Tatum or Donovan Mitchell on the other side, and Julius Randle makes the team first, second, or third team, and Tatum and Mitchell don't, do you have a problem with that, Rodney Perry, with this thing? Because I don't think Julius Randle is better than Jason Tatum and Donovan Mitchell, myself, personally.
Maybe not better, but it's definitely best on his team. And I'm sure that goes into effect. And let's get a Nick in here. Knicks have a great season. We got to show somebody some love. I think they did that with the Wizards. They put Bradley Beal on and did not put Russell Westbrook on. Mm-hmm. And so you're like, yo, so maybe somewhere in their attempt to be fair, they put in some people to balance some stuff out. 'Cause I'm looking at the list now, and it's like, look like they got somebody from each team on here. I mean, Draymond Green is on, for God's sake.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I have an issue with Steph Curry being in the game. I have an issue with Julius Randle. Not to say Randle didn't ball, because he did ball out. But when you leave off Jason Tatum and Donovan Mitchell, I have a problem with that list. I'm sorry. I
think I have a problem with them being left off too. But I can't take away from Julius' season. Again, this happens year by year, season by season. When you say the season, he balled out, better than a couple of guys. He probably had a better season, than a Tatum for his team. But overall, he's not better than Tatum. He's not better than these guys. But I know they do it season by season.
Now, you're saying that as a Knicks fan,
I'm being honest. This season, Frank, here's how you sum it up. We weren't having should Tatum be in the MVP conversation. We were with Julius. So when you sum up the season, that tells it all right there. It's a season thing. It's not who's better overall than they're doing it year by year, correct?
Yeah.
Season too. So this year.
I don't know. I gotta look at it statistically. Statistically, throughout the entire season, the NBA season, I think the only thing that hurt Jason Tatum was that he got COVID and it messed him up at the beginning.
But just think to yourself, Frank, you've never mentioned him in the MVP conversation, and we've mentioned Julius. Everybody.
No, you mentioned Julius. I never.
No, everybody at some point or another mentioned him. If you pick 5 or 6, 7 players. Julius is in there. Jason's not this year.
Okay. I mean, I can understand what you're saying. I get it.
I don't know. Look. Since you mentioned the Knicks, I don't know who I would take off for Jason Tatum and or Donovan Mitchell. Maybe you pick. I don't know why you picked the Knicks because they did make it to the 4th seed in
No, I didn't pick the Knicks. I picked the player. I'm saying as a player.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, he would. Okay, put it this way: he was the best player on that team.
Yeah, but I'm still not talking about because all these guys were the best players on their team.
But all right, so where did the Celtics end up?
What do you mean?
What seed was they in the playoffs?
The 8th.
Okay, then you talk about Julius Randle, who was on the Knicks, the best player on the Knicks, and they were number 4. Now, is he a better player? No, I wouldn't. If I had to pick between Julius Randle and Jason Tatum, I'd take Jason Tatum all day. But when you talk about the team and the impact on the team and the team record, then for that. Now, Donovan Mitchell, they had the number 1 record in the NBA. So why he's not on it, I can see you making a case for him specifically because they were the number 1 seed in the NBA. So I don't know.
I'm making a case for both of them because what I'm trying to say is Jason Tatum and Donovan Mitchell should be on this list. One way or another.
So.
And
we agree with that.
But somebody got to come off. And I'm saying if you look at that whole list, 2 people got to come off for Tatum to come on and Mitchell to come on. And I'm saying the weakest link on this whole on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd team to me, everybody, to me, is 2 people to me is the weakest link. One is Steph Curry, and the other one is Steph Curry because he didn't play a lot of games because of injuries, and the other one is Julius Randle. To me.
Well, what about Draymond Green? I gotta take Julius Randle over Draymond Green because Draymond Green was on the losing team and he don't even score.
But Draymond was all defensive team, so it was a different list. But
and Draymond's not on this list. He's not on the 1st, 2nd,
Jimmy Butler is on there as well.
Get him out of there.
Jimmy Butler could be. Jimmy Butler.
Man, get out of there, Frank.
Hey, you know what? The reason why I brought
Randle was in the stats all year long in 5 different categories. How the hell you going to lead Jimmy Butler and try to take Julius Randle out?
And the point I'm bringing it up, the reason why I'm bringing it up is because there are certain players who should be on this list who aren't. Like, look at Russell Westbrook, all the stuff he did too. He's not on this list. I mean, you can literally have an argument with the guys who made this list, and there are a lot of guys up there who should have made it and who weren't, over some guys who made it on their name of what they've done previously. And I think that's the issue with this all.
I think it becomes a coin flip when you get to that 3rd team. It becomes a coin flip, and it's who do we like?
Yeah,
and have we service every team because the list is gonna be bullshit to somebody.
Yeah. And you know the main thing about it, Frank. We're talking about teams. We got guys on there, and their teams didn't even make the playoffs. So we that automatically should be a disqualification. If your team don't make the playoffs, you should be disqualified.
No, but it's not a playoff. It's not driven by the playoffs at all.
It's not. It has nothing to do with that. It's going about individual what you do. But my other issue I have with this, and then we're gonna move on. My other issue I have with this is it cost Jason Tatum and Donovan Mitchell $33 million. You know what I mean? Because these guys are coming off their rookie contracts, and that's a huge amount of money because they don't make, the max. Even though Jason Tatum signed a max deal, he would have gotten an additional $33 million, and Donovan Mitchell would have gotten an additional $33 million. And that's the part that's being overlooked. Was these sports writers just write these names in just to fill out the names, and you're costing people money. But anyway,
do he owe you money?
No, he don't owe me. No, the thing is, this young guy, he needs his money. Like, let him get his money. You know what I mean?
All right, Frank, you're a millionaire.
I know.
And that's the way that's the way the people think.
And that's my whole process.
We're gonna get another opportunity, as they said.
He's definitely gonna get maxed out. Now, I talked to you about that. Now let's talk about the big name everybody's talking about. Now we have to talk about Kevin Durant last night and the show he put on last night. Talon, I'm gonna throw it out to you. Your first thoughts after you saw Kevin Durant, because I don't think nobody saw the Nets beating the Bucks. Like, I don't think anybody saw that. Talon, what's your thoughts when you saw that game last night?
Hell of a fight back, because they got jumped out on, early, and they kept fighting and scratching and clawing fight. And I remember almost finishing the 3rd quarter saying, "Hey, man, they one more shot, one defense and one shot. This is a game." And sure enough, they did the defense. They got to the shot. Next thing you know, I'm in the fourth quarter, and it's 7 points, and it's 6 points, it's 3 points. And next thing you know, they took the shot, took the lead. People are going crazy in the bar that I'm in Buffalo. And I'm like, yo. And I said this going into the game, and I never take it back. I feel like always in a 2-2 situation and get to game 5, whoever wins game 5 usually wins the series. And I think that Brooklyn put that stamp down. Because I'll be honest with you, 80% of the game, James Harden was in the way.
Mm-hmm.
James Harden did one thing aside Kevin Durant that would help the team, and that was put your man Holiday in foul trouble early.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Fig, I'm going to bring it to you. Before I do that, I'm going to just tell Daniel Dugai that I only mentioned Steph Curry not because of performances, because of missed games. And that's it. Fig, what's your thoughts?
Kevin Durant is that dude. I'll tell you this, what I said yesterday. I felt like if the game was officiated the way, according to the rules, I thought that he had the potential to be able to carry his team to a win or lead them to a win. I hate the word carry. Lead them to a win with his play. But I did not see a triple-double and 49 points on 23 shots. Last but not least, I question the intelligence of anybody who will tell me that right now Kevin Durant is not the best player in the NBA. I question their intelligence and or their vision, because right now Kevin Durant is the best player that I've seen playing in this NBA, period, this year.
Rodney Perry, you agree with everything he just said? Disagree?
Of course not.
Of course not.
Why?
Why?
You was going so good. Okay.
Oh shit!
I said the other day, and this is what we were talking about with Paul George. He's gonna have to turn in a yeoman effort now because it's just him. They played James Harden largely as a decoy. He did that. He turned in a pretty decent effort, but this is less about KD and more about Giannis. Giannis shrunk, man. Giannis shrunk in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. He's doing turnaround fadeaways at 7 foot tall. He's got James Harden on a hobbled James Harden D'ing him up. And James Harden like, I got him. 1-on-1. That should be an insult. You should be backing him down and putting your nuts in his face. I blame Giannis. I blame Giannis.
He said nuts in his face, and all you hear is,
You know, but the thing is this. Everything he said is absolutely right because Giannis was playing timid. I'm like, this dude should be backing down everybody and dunking on people. Like, what the hell?
Harden ain't got 2 legs.
Yeah, I'm like, what's he doing? I mean, I don't know.
Wait, hold on.
Coaching was a sad.
Hold on.
Coaching was a sad issue for me. I had a real problem.
This is more of it. Kevin Durant scores 49 points, 17 rebounds, 10 assists, 2 block shots. And this is more about Giannis?
Yes,
wow. This must be another LeBron James type show. Wow.
No.
49, 17, 10, 2 blocks.
Hear me out.
Wow.
Hear me out.
I'll mute him. Go ahead. I muted him. Go ahead, Rodney.
No.
Go ahead.
We want to hear him. Look, no disrespect to your take. And I think KD is absolutely one of the best players in the world.
Yeah, he is. Absolutely.
Right. We cannot take that away from him. Right. One of the best players in the world. Turned in a yeoman effort, but they were still going to lose. They was going to lose with that yeoman effort. They should not have won that game. If Giannis plays up to his potential, they don't win. That's why I mean that losing that game, that was their game to lose. They should have lost that game with his 49 points.
All right, but now let me just interject. I agree with what you're saying, Rodney Perry, but what we're overlooking is Jeff Green played phenomenal last night. That's the reason why the Nets won. Not that the Bucks should have did everything else. Jeff Green hit some three-pointers, got some alley-oops and everything else, but Giannis has a lot of opportunities, and he should have dominated, and he didn't. Kevin Durant balled out last night. There's no other way around it. He balled out. I've never seen him play so well. I've never seen him play so well.
You've never seen him play so well.
Played that well. Name another game where Kevin Durant played as good as he did last. And statistically,
when he bust LeBron's ass in the finals
2 times MVP.
He played like
2 years in a row.
Statistically speaking, last night was his best game ever.
Man, are you crazy?
49 points. Fig just read up the stats. 49 points, 17 rebounds, and 10 assists was delivered to on literally by Kevin Durant, and it's his best game he ever played in the playoffs. And I had to agree, it was one of his best games I've ever seen him play.
I'm not saying it's not one of his best games, but you acting like you never seen him play like that before.
And I didn't say that. I said
you did say that.
I said that was his best game I've ever seen him play.
And you said I've never seen these words.
Somebody New York need to go back inside and put their masks on. Cause y'all a little excited. I know what I'm guys. Open up. You know what it is? You guys don't know how to act. They don't know how to act no more.
You know what it is? It's just the fact being that
we can wine in the morning.
Yeah, we going outside.
Smoking weed under the table. I know what's going on.
We coming outside. That's all it is. Now let me move on to the next conversation, man, because we talked about a little bit at the beginning of the show. We talked about Chris Paul. Now I want to ask you. I'm gonna start off with you, Talent, and say to you: do you think the Suns are in trouble if Chris Paul is out indefinitely going into the playoffs and everything else? I don't think the Suns are in trouble. For my record, I don't think they're in trouble if he misses one game. But if he got to miss 3, I think they got problems. What's your thought?
I think that they may be in trouble because I think that one game is more important than we're let here. This year the playoffs are a little different. They're taking some sort of different vibe to them, in the way they play out. And for whatever reason, since I've been watching since the beginning, that game 1 is more pivotal than I remember it being this year. So if he misses game 1 or game 1 and 2, I think it's detrimental because quiet is kept. I think the other team that they're going to face matches up with them super well. Mm-hmm. And you need him to combat against like a Mitchell, so I think, again, it's COVID. It's not a real injury. And I think he'll be back sooner than we're thinking. So I'll still put my money on the Suns because I think he'll be there, for the duration.
Okay. Fig, the Suns got to play either the Clippers or the Jazz. If they do have to do it 3 games without Chris Paul, what's your thoughts?
I think the Clippers and the Jazz could possibly, because of what's happening with Kawhi. I thought that if Kawhi played and he didn't have this knee issue, I thought that they would close him out the next game. But because he's going to be out, I think it'll go 7, which means that the Suns probably won't play in the Western Conference Finals until sometime next week. So there's an extra amount of time. And depending on whether if they go against the Jazz, I think they have a better chance than if they go against the Clippers because the Clippers are a team full of veterans. And I think that in a finals game, I think that nerves will get to a younger team more so than a veteran team. I think Phoenix will have a better chance against the Jazz, with or without Chris Paul.
Okay, Rodney Perry, what's your thoughts?
So we're looking at teams that are all a bit hobbled. So who's lost the most with their hobbleness? You would think that the Clippers have lost the biggest piece. Therefore, that catapults, I think, Phoenix into winning the West. I think Phoenix will win the West. I think Phoenix is better without Chris Paul than the rest of the teams are without their guys. And that's just my opinion.
Here's the bigger question. I'm gonna throw it out to all of y'all. If we move on and all the teams move on, let's say Brooklyn makes it to the finals, and let's just say on the finals, and let's say Phoenix makes it to the finals, but Brooklyn goes to the finals without Kyrie Irving. Does Brooklyn have a better chance of winning the NBA title than Phoenix, or is that Phoenix's shot? What you think, Talent? Because I think Brooklyn can still win the whole thing with just James Harden and KD. I think they can win the whole thing without Kyrie right now because everybody's hobbled. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. I think that absolutely that team is very strong and deep because their bench has the next 5 players. They have a starting 5 coming behind the 5. So I think that they can win it all with 2 out of the 3 playing.
Right. And the reason why I said Phoenix, because I think Phoenix can beat either the Clippers or Utah. But actually, it could be a toss-up. Utah could make it to the finals, too. But I think, let me just say this. For the record, I think Brooklyn could beat everybody who's remaining right now, even without Kyrie. That's what I think. So,
but let me be clear. When I say 2 out of the 3,
right,
2 has to include Kevin Durant. Because if it's Harden and Kyrie and Kev goes out, I don't think they can win. But if the 2 includes Kevin Durant, they're still unbeatable.
Yeah, I agree with that part. Fig, what do you think?
It's not quite 2 though, because Harden ain't Harden right now.
Right. He's a decoy right now. He's a decoy.
Yeah. So
he was decoy last night. He definitely was decoy.
I don't think he gonna mess around and re-injure and he gonna be out again.
Yeah, I see that happening. But because that's the type of playoffs we having. Fig, what you think?
Man, I think it's difficult for Brooklyn to win unless they get one of the 2 guys back fairly healthy. Because they still got to go through either a young Atlanta team or they got to go through Philly, and then we never look. Joel Embiid is the biggest monster, and there is no answer for him in Brooklyn.
Wait a minute, I thought you just said he was soft yesterday, so now he's the biggest monster? I'm confused. Did you say yesterday he was soft?
Listen, the way Joel Embiid is playing from the outside, if Doc gets him, because there was some point this year where Doc Rivers convinced Joel Embiid to go into the paint. If he goes into the paint, he is literally unstoppable. If he's out there shooting threes like Giannis, let me tell you something. You know my take on this, Frank. If you get big men to play like big men in the – not interrupt me.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you at all, Fig. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'm just confused. Yesterday you said he was marshmallow soft.
Yeah.
I did because of the way he was playing, because he was shooting threes, because he was taking jumpers. But Joel Embiid, although he can hit a 3, when he goes into the paint, he is literally unstoppable. He has moves. He has a soft touch, and he can score in the paint. There was a point in this season where Doc Rivers got him to play in the paint, and he was dominating every team that he played.
She's going to pick up your car.
Can't disagree with that. I agree with everything you said. Can't disagree.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Right.
It's not what we're seeing right now. If we go off of what we're seeing and what we know, he's the biggest marshmallow in the city of Philadelphia.
I didn't say that.
A toasted, young talent. He's a toasted marshmallow.
I did not say all that. All right, let me move on, man. I definitely want to move on. Now, yesterday we brought up a point about the NBA getting ready to make some rules, and they were going to call it James Harden or the Trae Young rule. The NBA released to the press last night. The NBA caught Trae Young faking an injury. They caught it on camera, and they submitted it to all the other outlets and everything else. They caught Trae. Now, here's the crazy thing about it. Trae Young got injured at the end of game 4 from some foul that he got hit with by Joel Embiid. They're using that video, and they're saying this is why we're going to try to make this changes as of Monday. So the might be instituted in the NBA Finals, whereas the flopping and the fake injuries and stuff like that, if they catch it, they might not call the foul. You know how James Harden does the fake thing with the moves, trying to draw the foul. They're trying to make this an issue and trying to make this a thing happen right now. Talent, your thoughts?
I don't know if I agree with that, man. I don't think you can come in the middle. We're games away, a couple of games away from conference finals, man. As much as I believe putting that in play, in the middle of the mix like right now, that's going to cost somebody the whole series. If you come right now in the middle, you can't do that, man. Like, you can't just, I'm halfway through, you made me dinner, and you just take away the fish and put a burger there. I'm halfway finished with the fish. It's delicious. You're going to tell these dudes to change everything up here, how they're mentally playing and how they calibrate it, how they're going to go about the game. These point guards are going to have a tough time, bro.
Listen, let me just say this. I don't know if you caught the news of this too, but they're doing the same thing the major league pitchers too are pitching. They changed the whole thing up in the middle of the season. The major league pitchers got to change up too.
I've seen that.
So if the people speak, they got to do what they got to do. Fig, you agree with him, or too bad, so sad? What you think, Fig?
I think what it does is like in the middle of baseball season is still in the middle of their regular season. Basketball, we're in the heated part of the end of the playoff going into the finals. You change how you're going to officiate the game, because this is not really about the players. This is about the officials. The officials officiating the game. So you've been officiating all year one way, and most of the playoffs one way, and now when you get to the end, you're going to change. That's going to be detrimental to somebody. And basically what it does, it takes the end result from the players and put it in the hands of the official. Just like we said when Milwaukee was playing the Nets, the way they allowed Milwaukee to be so aggressive with the Nets and not calling fouls, when they've been calling it the same thing all year, it just confuses the whole thing. Like, players get used to playing a certain way. If you take that away from them, then they have to readjust everything that they do, and it makes it difficult for everybody.
Rodney Perry, do you agree with these guys are saying, or too bad, so sad?
I mean, it's definitely not too bad, so sad. I mean, to change midstream of the season is absurd. But how do you even enforce it? How do you enforce whether a guy is faking an injury? He just got to stick to his guns and keep the lie going. I remember one time when I was out on the road and the wife, she was like, "Yo, what's up with this number?" And I'm like, "What number?" And you just got to stick to your gun.
Man, the analogy.
I don't know what you're talking about. I just see nothing all weekend. I didn't see nothing. I don't know. I didn't see nothing and nobody all weekend.
Oh my God. Yo, this only can happen on this show, man.
Rodney is crazy.
Oh, what number? I ain't seen no number.
What you talking
all right, I want to move on because I want to move on because we got a little bit of time and possibly because my wife is probably watching. So let me keep this show going.
Hilarious.
I want to ask you guys. There's a couple of in the NFL, because we got a little bit of time left. In the NFL, there's a couple of quarterback competitions that's going on, and a couple of people talking about this, a couple of people talking about that, and everything else. People are overlooking right now the big quarterback controversy that's going on in San Francisco. Because I'm gonna throw this to you, Talent. Start with you first. In San Francisco, right? They just drafted that kid. Oh my, now his name goes to me, but. The thing that I'm looking at is Jimmy G could be trade bait and could be a huge piece for a team that needs a QB, which, again, it could set up the whole seismic shift with Aaron Rodgers about to float out there and Deshaun Watson going to go out there. And then Jimmy G could be out there in the mix. I mean, I don't know. I think people are overlooking some of these QB battles because San Francisco to me, is the first part of the domino that falls. You know what I mean? Jimmy G doesn't make it. He's going to want out. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if he wants out and Aaron Rodgers is sitting there, where do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to want to go? I can see him saying, you know what? I want to go to San Francisco. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just my thought process. What you think, Count?
No, I can see that. I mean, everything is plausible and up in the air and believable. We can't put no money on nothing right now with the quarterback shuffle. The quarterback shuffle is real this year. Right. And Jimmy G, you're right. He's bait. I can see him being used as bait. To trade off and get what you really want in there. Because clearly you don't want Jimmy G. You've been disrespecting Jimmy G for a minute now. You know, when a brother can't sleep at night because his name is on every news show and every sportscaster's talking about Jimmy G, we can get this for him, we can get that for him. How do you think that makes Jimmy G feel?
Exactly. So
you know what I mean? I don't even want to play there. Like, you can't get up for that kind of team. Pause. You can't get up.
Yeah. What you think? Same thing, because Trey Lance, that's the guy's name I was trying to remember. Trey Lance is out there. If Trey Lance takes Jimmy G's job, Jimmy G now could be traded out. But then, you know, Aaron Rodgers would be sitting out there, and then that could help him. So, you know what? I want to go to San Francisco because there's no way in hell he wouldn't go out there and start. You know what I mean?
You know what, man? Throughout my history in life, guys by the name of Trae have been doing a lot of stuff. Something about that name, man. Trae Young, Trae Lance. They always doing something, man, to interrupt the flow of things, man. And not only did Trae, a guy named Trae, take your position, he might take your girlfriend too. Yeah, it's something about them trades. But yo, man, they've been out for Jimmy G ever since he went on that date. And that's the truth. They had it out for Jimmy G ever since that day. Even though he took him to the Super Bowl, they still had it out for Jimmy G because he went on that date in public. And you just can't have an American organization like the NFL in the face of a quarterback intermingling.
Stop with the hand movement. This is a family show. None of that. It's a family show. Talk about Jimmy G with a porn star. You can't have this.
I was trying not to say it though, Frank. I was trying not to say it.
Rodney Perry, what's your thoughts?
It's like Talent said, Jimmy G has proven to be a bit dysfunctional when it comes to that. And you just can't have that type of erect dysfunction in the So then you when you prove to have dysfunction, you get you some sort of blue pill or you let the young boy play.
Did you say Jimmy red pill? Oh man, y'all are cracking me up. All right, y'all, that's the show. We gotta get it roll up out of here tomorrow. I want to get ready to finish the conversation. You say, you know what? I had a Pelican brief where Aaron Rodgers can land in Dallas. Now, obviously, because they re-signed their QB. Now I think I'm going to adjust my Pelican brief and tell you all why. Like we was just talking about, I can see Aaron Rodgers landing in two places, San Francisco or the New York Jets. We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Hey, you ever go back and say that you were super wrong about Dallas? Can you say that?
I'm super wrong. I was super wrong about Dallas because he signed. But at the time, it was good. It was a good hypothesis.
It was a good idea.
Yeah, challenge everybody out there. They can follow you, bro.
Hey, follow me. Listen, man, I'm on Twitter at It's Just Comedy. I'm on IG at Talent the Comedian and King Talent Harris on Facebook. You want to hit me in those inboxes, be a part of the 30-year celebration going down in Atlantic City, July 30th through the weekend. We nonstop, man, getting it popping. Your boy
How
Talent.
many rooms left? How many rooms left, Talent? How many rooms?
Only 10 rooms left. 10 room situations left. After that, whatever tickets we got left, we're just going to ticket only, but only 10 rooms left for the weekend.
There it is, Fig. Tell everybody out there they can follow you, bro.
Right there, baby. At Comedian Fig, all social media platforms, box seats, Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Hey, Dallas, Dak is back.
I know, right? Woo! Rodney Perry.
I'm easy to find, man. Rodney Perry live on all social media. Holler at your boy. Follow the YouTube page if you can. Appreciate it.
All right, y'all. That's it. That's the show. Show's called The Box Seats. Frank Holder here with you. Rodney Perry there. Fig there. Talent there. The channel's called The Humor Mill. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.